Welcome to another episode of In the Library of Graphic Literature with your host, Mr. Wallace Ryan.
Hey.
And Lady Luna.
Yes, Lady Luna. Producer and boss lady.
Not a producer. Please don't call me that.
Don't call me names. Okay.
I'm just a showgirl.
Yes. We're both feeling very fancy tonight, aren't we?
This is a glamorous episode.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, we even tested these outfits in public, and they seem to have good reviews. We went shopping like this, and it was enjoyable.
Made him get a new hat.
What do you think, folks?
I was like, your hat looks too cheap, Wallace.
Yeah, and I have to agree with her. We picked this up at what is this name's downtown?
The chap with the hats.
Yeah, the chap with the hats there. But yeah, great hat. I'll put a link in there.
So the
Chafe,
first.
William F. Chafe, and
yes,
they have lots of great hats down there. So anyone in the city, go check them out.
This one came from Livier's Antiques for $10.
I can't believe it. No wonder you had such a surprised and happy look on your face. It's just like, what? Really?
Take my money. $10.
Line up. Take it.
So dramatic.
Yes.
Alright, so the first on our list is
Squeak the Mouse. This is this guy Mignola. It was an 80s one. I mean, people think they say, well, and Itchy and Scratchy is, I'd say, influenced by it.
It looks very much like Itchy and Scratchy.
Yeah. But with this one too, there was a lot more sex involved in it and stuff like that. But it was, I can remember I had a copy of this when it came out in the.
I'm gonna try to open up to an actual
in the 80s. I'd gotten copy.
Yeah, like boobs.
Boobs, yeah. So there were like two boobs. So there were like two copies. There were 2 volumes came out, and I had the first one. Never could find the second one.
Yes, this is very much Itchy and Scratchy boys.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, there's even some. I'll see if I can find some spot that's sort of not quite as grotesque. Well, yeah, I guess like yeah, there. No, something like.
Oh, the big picture on the last page.
But yeah, it's just to see when I seen it being, because I'd read it before, so when I seen it being solicited, I was just like, oh, gotta get Squeak the Mouse. Mm-hmm. Just and it's funny because it was outrageous back then. It passes into the pale nowadays. I'm sure that now this is just not for the average reader, because some people could read this and it could hurt them somehow, right? But I still think it's funny. but then again,
So just come with the chainsaw.
No. The other thing that got this week was Volume 2 of Witchfinder. Dun, 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 dun. Actually, this is what you're wearing very appropriate for this era. This is Witchfinder wear is what we well, at least you're more Witchfinder wear. It's late 1800s and.
Oh, that's cool.
And Edward Grey, it's Victoria. Well, yeah, he serves under Queen Victoria. He saved her life from some witches or whatever, so she made him like a official Witchfinder of the realm or whatever. So he goes around, burning people to the ground. But no, he's actually a good guy. He just goes after the bad witches, right? That I've seen so far, anyway, right?
There's some of those.
Oh yes, there's a lot of them. But this great. You know who you are. But yeah, I just actually, I had somehow missed Volume 1. So Dennis rustled me up with Volume 1 of it. So I've started reading this. I'm getting close to this, but I'm loving the Volume 1. I always like anything by this guy, Mignola, creator of Hellboy and other great stuff. As a matter of fact, speaking of Hellboy, I couldn't remember if I did this or not. And I checked some of the recent.
Hellboy Universe. Does that mean it's a spin-off?
Well, it's a bunch of spin-offs from it. So
The
there
Secret
was,
Histories.
yeah, so there's
Got a
like,
bunch of different writers here by the looks of it.
yeah, Rasputin. Well, Mignola does most of the writing.
Rasputin.
And then there's these artists. Oh, the Rasputin one is pretty cool. But it was all these small, short stories related to all his other ones, like Hellboy. He has a whole universe. They call it the Mignolaverse, where all his stories take place. And
This is nice.
yeah, which one is this? Oh, okay, yeah. And I love it. He has such a simple style. There's one thing I always loved about Mignola. And he, as a matter of fact, he probably did the cover. Yeah, guy who did this cover, that's Mignola. He has such a simple style, yet it's very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see, I mean, he does so much work with blacks. They're all perfectly placed, right? What a guy. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do a series of, I'm going to do a reading of all what I call the other Mignolaverse, which is everything outside of Hellboy. And I'm going to read.
Stay tuned.
So stay tuned. That's where I'm starting to read. I'm reading volume 1 of that one, and I'll report in on that. And I'm just going to, tell them how over the next few months this is going to be what I read in all my spare moments, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
So what's your next one?
Oh, next one. Well, that's all the new ones, but unfortunately this week we had. Oh, gee, where is it? We unfortunately had a death in the comic book world. Oh, there it is. Oh, let me get in front of the camera here. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. We unfortunately had the passing of this guy Neal Adams, a great artist, and he did a lot of great work. This was probably one of his most famous series. It was Green Lantern, Green Arrow, and it was like Easy Rider. He had done in comics. Come on. There we go. So everyone who reads comics is familiar with him. Neal had this realistic, hyper-realistic style. I'll get in close for those who aren't familiar with him. And great panel design. It's one thing to have really cool panel design, but Neal breathes great panel designs, right? Like still one of my favorite sequences is from this one. This was X-Men he did around the same time. And he has all these great, to me it's my favorite X-Men story. This, where is it? There's a scene here where they're attacked by Sentinels. Oh, here we go. Jeez, it was a very nice page. I was going the opposite. Have a look at this. This page right here. How he, always one of my favorite pages, and yet it's still, for some reason, it's still readable.
Oh.
Right? He gets knocked out the window. You see him falling. Then you see him looking out of the corner of his eye, seeing the ice, and grabbing the icicle that Iceman left for him. But this page here, it's bloody cool, right? He could do great pages like that, really imaginative pages, and they still work in terms of storytelling. Oh, here's one of my favorites too, in terms of a splash page. The Sentinels live. Dun 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 dun. Sentinels were these mutant-hating, hunting robots, right? But but yeah, this whole series, absolutely beautiful. Dun, dun, dun. And then last but not least, in terms of, I mean, he did a lot of comics and all that, but in terms of his great stuff, and this was one of my favorites, actually, Superman versus Muhammad Ali. What do you think about that, right? Cassius Clay, he was champion, boxing champion. Yeah, boxing champion. Check that out. Huh?
That's legendary for sure.
Not bad, hey? And Superman decides to have a boxing match with Muhammad Ali. And apparently he was involved because, I mean, he had pictures taken of him, stuff like that. I'm sure I've seen pictures of Muhammad Ali at DC offices or something like that. They basically, they're hauled into some sort of international competition where they got to fight or these aliens will destroy the Earth. And they all start laying bets on who'll win, alright?
No. Well,
And, and Muhammad Ali wins, but Superman was faking it. And then some sort of spirit comes in and saves the day in the end, alright? Like always, alright? But I mean, beautifully drawn, I'll give him that much. It's standard alien story. Oh, we are the greatest. So anyway, one of his guys. Well, yeah, he will be missed. He was a nice guy. I met him a couple of times at conventions, stuff like that. But really friendly guy. You could talk comics with him. He was like me. He ate, drank, slept comics. He was, And when I was a kid, I was a Neal Adams fanatic. I had all these, and I hunted all those Green Arrow ones down. It took me a while. I think I finally got my first one out in Manitoba somewhere. It was like something out of Raiders of the Lost Ark, right? Mm. But yeah, poor old Neal. We loved you anyway, right? But he also fought for creators' rights. Specifically, the two guys who created Superman, Siegel and Schuster, they never got a fair shake of it when they were alive. So in the 70s, when DC was coming out with a movie, Adams gets together with a bunch of people and they go to Warner Brothers and say, hey, you guys got to give these guys a pension, or give them some money, or give them something, right? They're starving to death here, and you're about to put out a movie that's going to make millions and millions of dollars. And I'll give Warner's their due. They ponied up the dough pretty quickly, right? And now in future years too, they end up having to pay even more, but they at least they paid out enough to. That at least the boys' final years weren't as miserable as they were, right? Mm. So, anyway, that's about it for this week. The next week, hopefully, I do have some new books coming in, so we will have some books to look at and talking about my Mignolaverse thing. Oh, and check out Thursday Comics. Dennis and I are still laying it down hot and heavy, doing a lot of great top 10 lists lately. So anyone out there, if you haven't listened to them, it's more an adult-oriented comic discussion, but it's a lot of fun. We go on talking. You can imagine, you've heard me and Dennis talk, and we could go on for hours and hours if someone didn't shoot us in the head, right?
Yeah, it was definitely over an hour last time.
yeah. So check it out, and in the meantime, check out the COMIX Positive. I'm doing an all-week special on Neal Adams himself, how my favorite comics is. How does that sound?
A Neal Adams tribute.
Yes, it is. I call it the All Adams All-Star Week, right? So 5 of my favorite comics are his. Funny enough, including this one. Maybe I'll switch it for throw a wrench into the works. Anyway, that being said, thank you, Lady Lulu, for providing the music. And
I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just sitting here looking pretty.
and of course, especially for the suggestion for the hat, I'm very pleased with the hat.
You're very welcome. It looks beautiful on you. You need more.
I tell you, I love your hat.
Thank
you. Well, thank you. That being said, once she regains consciousness, we'll see you, I guess, next week. Okay, play us on out there.